My wife and I have been together for 12 years. Married for 9. We were that couple people described as solid, like a weathered oak tree. Unshakable. Reliable. Boring, maybe, but in a safe, cozy way. Or so I thought. It started subtly, the shift. She got a little colder. A little sharper with her words. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her job's demanding, and I'm no picnic either when I'm neck-deep in work. But something in her tone changed. Like I wasn't her partner anymore. More like a background noise she tolerated. She used to laugh at my dumb jokes. Now she barely even looks up from her phone. And that phone, glued to her hand like it was surgically attached, always tilted away from me. Notifications hidden. She said it was because of work stuff. But unless her coworkers started sexting each other at midnight, I wasn't buying it. Then there were the little lies. She told me she was going to a friend's baby shower. Fine. Normal. Except her friend posted pictures online from Napa Valley. No baby in sight, just wine and hotel rooms. When I asked about it, she laughed and said they decided to turn it into a girls' weekend. Right. Last-minute flights and hotel rooms during peak season? I may not be the smartest guy, but I can count. Still, I let it go. I didn't want to be that guy. The paranoid husband. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Over and over. But man, there's a difference between being trusting and being a sucker. And I was starting to feel like the latter. The final straw, though? That came later. I'll get into that soon. This is just the beginning. Trust me, it gets messy, and not in the way you expect. I was looking for the remote one afternoon. Yeah, real cliché. I had the house to myself. Figured I'd finally catch up on that crime documentary everyone won't shut up about. Reached under the couch cushions like always, expecting crumbs, and probably one of those mystery socks that always vanish in the wash. Instead, I pulled out something shiny. Small. A foil wrapper. At first, I didn't register what it was. It wasn't until I turned it over in the light that it hit me. A wrapper from protection. Now, I've been married for 9 years. We stopped using those. Well, 9 years ago. And I've had a vasectomy. So unless this thing belonged to a ghost, or the dog picked it up on a walk and carefully stored it under the couch for safekeeping, there's only one logical conclusion. I sat there, wrapper in hand, feeling like the punchline in my own life. A bad sitcom husband who missed all the signs. A guy who thought trust was enough, even when all the alarms were blaring. That wrapper burned in my hand. Not literally, obviously, but it might as well have. My fingers felt numb. My chest was tight, like my body was trying to reject what my brain had already figured out. Still, I didn't say anything. Not yet. It wasn't about cowardice. It was strategy. I needed more than a smoking wrapper if I was going to confront her. Because let's be real, she'd lie. She already had. And she was good at it. Way too good. That night, she came home late. Claimed there was traffic. Her hair smelled like hotel shampoo. You know, the kind that's supposed to smell elegant, but just smells like desperation and broken vows. I just nodded and smiled. Played it cool. Pretended I hadn't just found the first real crack in our life together. Inside, though, I was planning my next move. I'm not the kind of guy who jumps to conclusions. But I'm also not the kind of guy who stares at a foil wrapper under his couch and just shrugs it off like it's a stray ketchup packet. No, I needed answers. Real ones. The kind that don't come with excuses or make up sex or whatever she thought might buy her another few months of deception. So, I did what any guy who feels like he's slowly losing his grip would do. I called in help. There's this guy I know, we'll call him Rick. Not his real name, obviously, but it fits. Rick's one of those guys who has 2 phones, wears sunglasses indoors, and somehow knows everyone's secrets without ever asking questions. He used to do background checks for a security firm. Now he freelances. I helped him fix his truck last year, and in return, he owed me a favor. Seemed like the right time to cash it in. I told him what I found. I kept it simple, factual. Left out the part where I sat on the floor for an hour afterward, staring into space like I'd just discovered my wife was a pod person. Rick didn't say much, just asked for a name, a schedule, and a recent photo. Said he'd check in within the week. Honestly, I didn't expect much. I thought maybe I'd get a vague text in 5 days saying, yeah, something's off, and that would be it. Instead, I got a call 2 days later. Middle of the afternoon, right as I was trying to convince a client at work that no, the printer wasn't possessed, it just needed paper. Rick's voice was flat. Serious. Said he had something. Proof. I remember feeling that weird, hollow drop in my stomach. Like the moment before a car crash, That split second where everything's still technically okay, but you know it's about to get bad. You sent over a few photos. And there she was. My wife. My partner of nearly a decade. Holding hands with some guy in a cafe across town. Same cafe where we used to go on Sunday mornings, back when things were simple. They weren't sitting far apart. They weren't just talking. They were touching. Smiling. Her head tilted in that way she used to do with me, back when she actually wanted to be around me. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until my chest started to ache. I stared at that picture for a long time. Not because I was shocked. I wasn't. But because it was the moment it stopped being a suspicion. It was real. She was cheating. The thing about betrayal is, once you know, everything starts to look different. Her smile? Fake. Her texts? Too fast. Her laugh? Forced. You start replaying every moment like a movie you've seen too many times, catching things you didn't notice before: the long showers, the sudden gym obsession, the way she started locking her phone after 10 years of not caring if I picked it up. And now, I had a picture. Not a theory. Not a hunch. A full-color, high-definition snapshot of her, and some guy acting like they didn't just build a life on top of mine. So what did I do? I ate dinner with her. No joke. I came home, dropped my keys like always, and sat at the table while she served chicken Alfredo like it was just another Tuesday. She even asked me how my day was, same warm tone, same casual grin. Like she hadn't just been on a date with another man while her husband paid the mortgage. I watched her pour herself a glass of wine. She was humming. And I just sat there, fork in hand, watching her. Not because I was afraid to speak, but because I wanted to see how deep the lie went. If she could sit across from me with red wine on her lips and another man's name on her mind and still ask if I wanted extra Parmesan. I asked for the cheese. She gave me a little smile. It was surreal, like I was a background character in her little fantasy world. I almost said something. I had the words ready, right there in my throat. But then she went on this long tangent about work drama and her annoying coworker, and something about that moment, her pretending like everything was fine, made me want to wait. Not to forgive. To prepare. I needed to be smarter than her. She'd been playing this game for months, maybe longer. I had just entered the arena. So I finished my dinner, told her it was delicious, kissed her on the cheek like a fool. Then I stayed up half the night staring at the ceiling, wondering how many other meals we'd shared while she was sneaking around behind my back. It's wild how quiet betrayal is. You'd think it would come with alarms or flashing lights. But no. Sometimes it looks exactly like chicken Alfredo and a glass of wine. The next few days were a masterclass in pretending. From both of us. She kept playing the role of doting wife, packing my lunch, asking if I needed anything from the store, tossing out casual little compliments like she was sprinkling breadcrumbs over a trap. And I nodded. I smiled. I even complimented her roast chicken like it didn't taste like betrayal. But something shifted. She started slipping. First, it was little things. She left her phone face up one morning while she was in the shower. Not like her. I saw a message pop up. Just a name, M. No context. No last name. Just a text bubble that said, "Last night was perfect." Perfect. Right. She came out of the bathroom humming, towel in her hair, acting like she wasn't getting end-of-date pillow talk from someone who wasn't her husband. I didn't say anything. Again. But I think she noticed something in my face, a hesitation in my expression, maybe. Because she got weirdly defensive about absolutely nothing. Like, I asked her if she wanted to go to my sister's for dinner that weekend, and she snapped. Said she had plans already. No apology. No explanation. Plans. Plans that didn't involve me, apparently. Then came the perfume. A new bottle, expensive, something floral and too sweet. She said it was a gift from a friend. But I checked the trash the next day. Found the receipt in her car. She bought it herself. I guess the friend was just another version of the truth she was bending into whatever shape suited her. And the real kicker? One night I came home early. She didn't hear me come in, music playing upstairs, door half open. I called out, but she didn't answer. When I walked in, she was lying on the bed, all dressed up. Way too dressed up for someone who was just staying in. She jumped when she saw me. Literally flinched. Like I'd caught her mid-crime. Said she was trying on outfits for a work event. At 9:30 p.m. On a Thursday. Right. I played dumb, nodded, complimented the dress. She looked relieved, too relieved. That was the moment I knew she was getting sloppy. Comfortable in the lie. Too comfortable. And that's what makes liars dangerous. Not when they're nervous. When they're confident. So I stopped smiling. Stopped talking so much. And I started digging. It was a Friday night. One of those weird in-between evenings, not quite relaxing, not quite tense. Just weird. We'd both been quiet most of the day. The air between us felt like it was made of glass. Like the wrong word would shatter everything. She said she was going to meet a friend for drinks. Said it like it was nothing, like she hadn't been using that same excuse every other week. I nodded, told her to have fun. Watched her walk out the door in a black dress that I hadn't seen in years. One she used to wear when we actually liked each other. As soon as her car left the driveway, I grabbed my phone and opened the tracking app Rick had helped me install. She wasn't going to the bar, she said. Not even close. She drove straight to a residential neighborhood about 15 minutes away. I watched the little blue dot on the map stop outside a house. Just a house. No restaurant. No friends. No lies left to hide behind. I sat in my car across the street for a solid half hour. Lights came on in the house. Her silhouette in the window. Then his. A man. Tall. Clean-cut. Not some seedy lowlife from a motel parking lot. No, this guy looked like the kind of man you see in ads for cologne or expensive coffee. That almost made it worse. They weren't just sneaking around in the shadows. They were comfortable. Familiar. Laughing over wine like they'd done it a dozen times before. Like they were used to this. She kissed him at the door. Not a quick goodbye. Not a shy peck. A kiss like she meant it. The kind that used to be mine. I didn't confront them. I didn't storm in and scream. I didn't flip a table or punch a wall or do anything dramatic. I just sat there, frozen, watching the woman I married give her heart to someone else, like mine was some old coat she'd tossed aside. And you know what the worst part was? I didn't even feel angry. I just felt hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left nothing but the shell. I drove home in silence. Didn't even turn on the radio. When she walked through the door an hour later, breathless and smiling, I was already in bed pretending to be asleep. She slipped in beside me, still smelling like him. And I stared at the ceiling, counting the lies between us. The next morning, I made her coffee. Same way she likes it. Little bit of vanilla creamer. Just a dash of cinnamon on top. I even put it in her favorite mug. The one that says, wife, mom, boss. Yeah, the irony wasn't lost on me. She looked surprised. Almost suspicious. I think she thought I was trying to make up for something. That maybe I'd done something wrong. Which, honestly, tells you everything you need to know about her mindset at that point. I sat down across from her like it was just another Saturday. But inside, I'd flipped a switch. I wasn't there to be her husband anymore. I was there to be her mirror. The one that was finally going to show her who she really was. She started rambling about errands, grocery store, maybe stopping by her sister's. I nodded along, but I was watching her closely. The way her hand kept going to her phone. The way her voice got slightly higher when she mentioned her plans. I didn't ask questions. Just listened. Smiled when appropriate. Played my part. But the truth was, I had already canceled our joint credit card the night before. Called the bank. Started separating our finances. It was the beginning of my quiet exit strategy. Because here's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't always need a dramatic confrontation. Sometimes the best revenge is letting someone dig their own grave while you casually walk away with the shovel. By mid-afternoon, I was back in the garage, going through the filing cabinet she never touched. Birth certificates. Tax records. The kind of stuff you ignore until you suddenly need to know exactly what belongs to who. She walked in at one point. Caught me with a folder in my lap. Asked what I was doing. Told her I was just getting organized. She smiled. Said, "That's so unlike you." I smiled back. Exactly, I thought. By the time she left for her sister's house, I had copies of everything I needed. The mask was still on, sure, but underneath, I was sharpening the blade. And she had no clue. That night, I waited up. Not in the living room like some sad, suspicious husband hoping to catch her red-handed. No. I waited in the garage. Lights off. Car parked down the block. Her sister visits always ended around the same time, and sure enough, her car pulled in a few minutes after 11. She didn't notice me. Just walked right past the garage like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't been playing house with someone else while I was home getting ready to dissolve everything we'd built. She came inside humming. Again with the humming. I used to think it was cute. Now it sounded like nails on a chalkboard. I waited a few minutes. Then came inside like I'd just come home from a late drink with a buddy. She asked where I'd been. I asked where she'd been. Her eyes did this little twitch, not even half a second, but it was there. Then she said the word that just about sealed it. Target. I almost laughed. She said she was at her sister's earlier. Now it was Target. Which is it? Was she testing me? Or had she just gotten so comfortable lying that she didn't even keep track anymore? I didn't call her out. I just looked at her, gave her a long stare, and said, "Huh, that's all." And that rattled her more than any accusation would have. Because she wasn't expecting calm. She was expecting a fight. Something she could flip around and use to paint herself as the victim. But I wasn't going to give her that. The next morning, she was unusually chipper. Cooking breakfast, talking about maybe doing a weekend getaway. Said we needed to reconnect. Right. Now she wants to reconnect, after half a year of disconnecting everything but her location tracking. I told her I had errands to run. Took my time. Stopped by a lawyer's office I'd already been in contact with. Dropped off the paperwork. No turning back now. When I got home, she was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone, fake as ever. I watched her for a second from the hallway, her perfect posture, her perfectly filtered life, her perfectly built wall of deception. She didn't see me watching. But soon enough, she would. Sunday morning felt different. I woke up early. Not because I had to, just couldn't sleep. My mind was running at full speed, and for once, it wasn't with questions. It was with plans. Cold, calculated plans. She was still asleep when I got up. Curled up in the sheets like she didn't just spend her Saturday night in another man's arms. Like this was still our home. Our life. I stood there for a minute, watching her breathe. Not out of affection. Out of disbelief. How someone could lie to your face, sleep in your bed, share meals with you, and still carry on like they're the victim, that's a level of selfish I'll never understand. I went downstairs, made coffee, and opened my laptop. Not for work. Not for bills. For evidence. I started putting it all together. Screenshots from the tracking app. Bank statements showing strange charges, boutique hotels, ride shares she never mentioned, meals for two when she said she ate alone. The photos Rick had taken. Her Target trips that never made it to Target. By the time she walked into the kitchen, bathrobe, fake yawn, fake smile, I had it all neatly compiled. And I was done pretending. She kissed my cheek. I didn't flinch, but I didn't lean in either. Just kept looking at my laptop like it was a spreadsheet and she was just another bad investment. She started talking about wanting to redecorate the guest room. I let her talk. She said it might be fun to freshen things up. Yeah, freshen up. That's rich. Coming from someone who's been rolling around with a guy who probably calls himself Mark with a K. I nodded, told her to go for it, told her to get whatever she wanted. She lit up, like she thought this meant I was coming around. And that's when I knew she had no idea what was coming. I'd seen enough courtroom shows to know that tipping your hand too early is how you lose everything. So I smiled, played dumb, let her think I was still clueless. Meanwhile, my lawyer already had the papers ready. I had bank accounts in my name only. I had every receipt, every lie, every timestamp. No more Mr. Oblivious. The only thing left now was the reveal. I didn't want a shouting match. I didn't want tears, or a fake apology, or some dramatic meltdown where she turns it around on me like I emotionally abandoned her, or whatever script she had locked and loaded. I wanted silence. So, I gave her a letter. Monday morning. I made breakfast like usual, eggs, toast, a smoothie. She walked into the kitchen in her business casual best, acting like we were still living in a sitcom where everything resets after each episode. I placed an envelope on the table. Nothing fancy. Just plain white, sealed, and thick with everything she didn't think I knew. She raised an eyebrow. Asked what it was. I told her it was something she should read later. Alone. That was it. No raised voice. No dramatic speech. Just a soft reset. I left the house and drove to work like it was a normal day. Checked my emails. Laughed at a stupid meme someone sent in the group chat. Meanwhile, I knew back at home, the clock was ticking. Inside that envelope, printouts of every receipt. Copies of the GPS logs. Screenshots of her sister's house on Google Street View, complete with the fact that her sister actually lives 3 states away. Photos of her and the mystery man. And the cherry on top, the first draft of the divorce paperwork, with her name already filled in. I didn't leave a note. Didn't have to. Let the silence speak for me. By lunch, I'd missed 3 calls from her. A few texts, everything from "Can we talk?" to "What the hell is this?" to "You're overreacting." Overreacting. She thinks betrayal is a paper cut and not a blade to the back. I didn't answer. Not because I was angry. Because I was done. And believe me, that scared her more than anything I could have said. She came home that night like a hurricane dressed in heels. Slammed the door, tossed her bag onto the couch, and started in before I even looked up from the chair. The calm ones always scare people the most. I just sat there, sipping tea like nothing had happened, while she went off, said I blindsided her, accused me of being cold, manipulative, even controlling. That one almost made me laugh. Me, controlling? This from the woman who spent the last 6 months rewriting our marriage behind my back like it was a bad draft she needed to fix. Then she pulled out the big guns, tried to cry. Not the real kind, though. The performative tears. The ones she thinks still work on me. I didn't budge. She said I was throwing everything away. No. She threw it away. I just finally stopped picking up the pieces. The longer I stayed silent, the angrier she got. Called me vindictive. Said I must have been waiting for an excuse to leave. Like her affair was somehow a test I failed. Then, and this is the part that really stuck with me, she said, "You're making a big mistake. He loves me. He treats me the way you used to. Right? The guy who hides in a stranger's house and lets a married woman sneak around like a teenager? Yeah, that's love. Must be real special." I looked at her, and for the first time in years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger who used my name to sign holiday cards while she was double-dipping in someone else's life. And it hit me, this was probably always in her. I just didn't want to see it. The self-centeredness. The gaslighting. The need to be adored even when she didn't deserve it. I confused it for strength. Independence. But no, this wasn't strength. It was cowardice dressed up in fake confidence and overpriced perfume. She finally went quiet. I think she expected me to argue, to fight for her, to say something. But I didn't. Because the person she wanted me to be? That guy left the minute she decided someone else's arms were more comforting than mine. I slept on the couch that night. Not because she kicked me out. She didn't even try. I think she knew better than to ask. We barely spoke. She paced the upstairs hall for a while, then slammed the bedroom door like that was supposed to hurt me. It didn't. Funny how a door means nothing once you've seen what's on the other side. The next morning, I packed. Not everything, just what mattered. Clothes, a few photos that still meant something, my tools, my grandfather's watch. Left the rest. She could keep the rest. The house. The furniture. The fake plants she insisted made the place look warm. She could have it all. I left a copy of the signed divorce papers on the kitchen table. The pin sat next to it. Capped. Clean. Her choice. She came downstairs right as I was zipping my bag. She looked like she hadn't slept. Good. Maybe now she'd understand what restlessness actually feels like. What it's like to stare at the ceiling and question everything while someone else lives a double life 2 feet away. She asked where I was going. I told her, away. That's it. Just away. No explanation. No timeline. Because honestly, I didn't know her that. Not anymore. She gave pieces of herself to someone else. I was just reclaiming the one piece she never really owned. Me. She asked if this was really how I wanted to end things. And here's the part that surprised even me. I didn't feel sad. I didn't cry. I didn't hesitate. I just said, this isn't how I wanted it. But it's how it has to be. Then I walked out. No slam of the door. No dramatic last glance. Just the sound of gravel under my tires and her silhouette fading in the rearview mirror. The truth is, I don't think she expected me to leave. I think she thought I'd blow up, then get over it. That I'd yell, maybe sleep in the guest room for a while, and then settle. But I'm not that guy anymore. She made sure of that. I thought leaving would be the end of it. Thought I'd get my place, sign the papers, and just move on. But betrayal's funny like that. It keeps peeling back layers, long after you think you've hit the core. About a week after I moved out, Rick, the guy who helped me dig this whole thing up, called me. Said he found something. Now, I figured it was more photos, maybe some texts I hadn't seen yet. But no, this was different. Apparently, her affair didn't start 6 months ago. It started over a year ago. Different guy. Different setup. She was meeting him during her work conferences. Staying overnight at hotels, saying she needed space to recharge. She even lied to our friends, told them I was going through a rough patch, that I needed time to sort things out. Painted herself as some kind of patient martyr, standing by her broken husband while secretly booking hotel rooms with her real hobby. The guy ghosted her, eventually. Which, I'll admit, gave me a twisted bit of satisfaction. Guess even he saw the red flags. But instead of ending the behavior, she just swapped the player. In came bachelor number 2. The one from the cafe. The one she kissed like she forgot I existed. Rick found messages between her and a third guy, too. Nothing physical, But it was clear she'd been shopping for attention like it was a clearance rack. It wasn't about love. Not really. It was about validation. She needed someone, anyone, to keep telling her she was wanted. And when I stopped doing it every 5 minutes, she found it somewhere else. She'd already been building a life without me long before I found the rapper. I was just too loyal to see it. It hit me hard. Because I hadn't just lost a wife. I'd lost time. Time spent defending her when friends noticed she was acting different. Time spent second-guessing myself because she had me convinced I was imagining things. Time I'll never get back. But in a weird way, that realization helped. Because I stopped mourning her. And started mourning the version of her I made up in my head. She was never that person. I just wanted her to be. The first time I woke up without that gut punch feeling was about 3 weeks after I moved out. No tight chest. No mental highlight reel of everything she'd done. Just stillness. I made coffee. Opened the blinds. Sat on the porch with a blanket and listened to nothing but birds and distant traffic. It wasn't profound or cinematic. It just felt normal. And after everything, normal felt like a gift. I didn't check my phone for texts from her. I didn't wonder what she was doing. I didn't care. That was the win. I'd started therapy by then. Not this sit on a couch and cry kind, more like a guy named Pete who asked good questions and didn't try to fix me. He let me vent, process, rant when I needed. And most importantly, he reminded me that I wasn't broken. Just blindsided. There's a difference. I told him how stupid I felt. How I'd missed every sign. How I kept thinking if I had just done this or noticed that, maybe I could have stopped it. He said, "You can't outwork someone else's dishonesty." That stuck with me. So I stopped trying to make sense of her choices. Stopped obsessing over the why. Doesn't matter why someone burns the house down if they lit the match in the first place. Meanwhile, I started doing things for me again. Got back into hiking. Fixed up an old motorcycle I'd been putting off for years. Started saying yes to friends again, even if I didn't feel 100% like myself. One day, I caught myself laughing at something stupid on TV, and it wasn't forced. It was real. Like my personality was coming back in pieces. Like I'd been underwater so long, I forgot what breathing felt like. I wasn't healed, whatever that even means. But I was okay. And that was enough. If you'd told me a year ago that my marriage would implode because of a foil wrapper under the couch, I would have laughed. Said that's movie stuff. Said we were solid. Said she'd never do something like that. Funny how fast never turns into of course she did when you start paying attention. Looking back now, I don't think the worst part was the cheating itself. It was the lying. The gaslighting. The fact that someone who shared my bed, my name, my future, could look me in the eye and pretend nothing was wrong while building an entirely separate life behind my back. That level of performance? It shakes your trust in everyone, including yourself. But here's the thing no one tells you. Eventually, that broken trust becomes a compass. You start learning how to read people again. You stop ignoring your instincts. You spot red flags from a mile away, and you no longer apologize for walking away from them. I've still got scars. I won't pretend I don't. But I also have peace. And for anyone reading this, anyone who's in that weird limbo between suspicion and certainty, between heartbreak and escape, here's what I'd say. Trust your gut. It's not paranoia if the signs are there. And deep down, you know when something's off. Document everything. If you're headed for divorce, don't confront, collect. Emotion makes a mess. Evidence keeps you steady. Don't try to win back someone who already gave you up. You're not a consolation prize. You're not backup. If they traded you in once, they'll do it again. Get your team. Lawyer. Therapist. Close friends. You don't have to go full scorched earth, but you do need support. And most importantly, you'll be okay. Maybe not today. Maybe not for a while. But one morning, you'll wake up and realize you haven't thought about them in days. And when you do, you'll feel nothing. That nothing is freedom. So yeah, that's my story. It started with a wrapper. It ended with me getting my life back. And honestly, that trade was worth it.